The proper question to ask in the location of Sodom is, where was Lot standing when he lifted up his eyes and
That's
saw...
Lot's wife. So
They thought it was just another salt pillar in the desert, a wind-carved shape standing among thousands of others. But when a new survey team approached the formation on the cliffs above the Dead Sea, everything changed. What looked like a weathered tower of salt from a distance became far more unsettling up close. Its outline wasn't random. It had the slope of shoulders, the curve of a head, even the posture of someone frozen mid-turn. The team expected to confirm erosion. Instead, they found salt fused with minerals not normally present in surface formations. Some of the crystallization patterns looked sudden, almost explosive, as if created in an instant, not over thousands of years. And that's when one archaeologist said 5 words that silenced the entire group. This might not be geological, but if it isn't just a rock, then what exactly have they been looking at for centuries? Long before scientists ever set foot near the pillar, its story was already carved into history. The book of Genesis describes a single moment that changed everything. A command from heaven, a city on the edge of destruction, and a woman who looked back when she was told not to. The Bible doesn't say she screamed. It doesn't say she fell. It says she became a pillar of salt. Instantly. For most people, it sounded symbolic, until travelers began pointing to a figure-shaped formation near Mount Sodom more than 2,000 years ago. Ancient historian Flavius Josephus wrote that he saw the pillar himself, still standing, still recognized, still feared. Generations after him claimed the same. Locals gave it a name that never faded: Lot's wife.
Hold on a minute. If you have not subscribed to this channel, do well to subscribe, like, comment, and share videos of this channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell. But now, the Discovery team is wondering if those old accounts weren't legends at all, but eyewitness reports. Because the deeper they look, the stranger it gets. The area surrounding the pillar is unlike anywhere else on Earth. The Dead Sea isn't just the lowest point on the planet, it's a scar in the land. The air is heavy, the water burns instead of heals, and the ground breaks apart in silent quakes beneath the surface. Salt crusts over rocks like frost on a corpse. Nothing feels alive here. Then comes Mount Sodom, a 5-mile ridge made almost entirely of pure rock salt. Wind and erosion have carved tunnels, caverns, and twisted shapes into its surface. But only one formation stands alone, the one shaped like a woman, turned toward the valley below, as if still watching something burn. Scientists have long called it a coincidence. Locals call it a warning. And now researchers studying the base of the structure have found something unusual: salt fused with traces of ash and sulfur. Ash from what? And sulfur from where? Long before modern researchers examined the formation, ancient writers were already linking it to a moment of judgment. Flavius Josephus, a Jewish historian writing in the 1st century, claimed he personally saw the pillar and said it still stood in his time, recognizable, untouched, and tied to the biblical account. He wasn't alone. Early travelers from Rome, Babylon, and Judea wrote of a strange stone figure near the ruins of the Salt Cliffs. Some refused to pass near it. Others believed the land itself was cursed because of what happened there. Even Islamic tradition preserves the event. The Quran speaks of the people of Lut, destroyed by a blast from the sky, and a woman who turned back when she was told to keep going.
If these were nothing but tales, why did so many cultures describe the same place, the same object, and the same fate? And now, Science is catching up. Just north of the Dead Sea, archaeologists began uncovering ancient ruins at sites like Bab-ed-Dra and Tall el-Hammam. At first, they expected signs of war or abandonment. Instead, they found something no normal city collapse could explain. Buildings reduced to ash, bones charred in an instant, and pottery melted into glass. Some of the destruction layers show temperatures over 2,000 degrees Celsius, hotter than a volcanic eruption, and impossible for any ancient army to produce. Researchers also discovered tiny mineral fragments that only form under extreme shock pressure, the kind caused by a sudden atmospheric blast. The strange part? These sites match the same region long believed to be Sodom and Gomorrah. Even skeptics admit, something catastrophic happened here at the exact time these cities vanished from history. But what could burn a civilization out of existence in a single moment and leave the land scarred for millennia? Some scientists now believe the destruction wasn't caused by fire from the ground, but fire from above. The leading theory points to a cosmic airburst, a massive explosion in the atmosphere, similar to the Tunguska event in Siberia in 1908. That blast flattened 80 million trees and scorched the earth without leaving a crater. At Tall el-Hammam, researchers found melted metals, shocked quartz, and minerals fused by temperatures hotter than volcanic lava, all signs of an aerial detonation. The shock wave from such an explosion could have wiped out an entire valley in seconds, igniting everything in its path and hurling debris across miles.
Genesis 19 describes something eerily similar. The Lord rained down fire and brimstone from the heavens. Now, the geography, the ruins, and the scorch marks all align with that description. But if the cities were destroyed in a single flash, what happened to anyone who turned to look? While examining the cliffs around Mount Sodom, researchers found more than just salt. Embedded in the terrain were small balls of pure sulfur, some of the most concentrated ever discovered on Earth. These weren't scattered randomly. They were lodged in layers of ash and debris, exactly where ancient accounts placed the destruction. Even stranger, at the base of the so-called Pillar of Lot's Wife, samples contain traces of minerals usually formed under intense heat and rapid crystallization. Some geologists argue it could be the result of flash vaporization, the kind that happens when a blast wave collides with a salt-rich environment. Others dismiss it as coincidence. But if this formation truly dates back thousands of years, there's a question scientists haven't been able to answer. How has a salt formation survived erosion this long in the one place the Bible says judgment struck? And that's not the only problem they've run into. Geologists agree on one fact: salt formations don't last. Wind, rain, and seasonal erosion wear them down quickly. Most salt spires collapse within a few centuries. Yet this pillar, standing apart from the rest of the ridge, has remained recognizable for at least 2,000 years, maybe longer. That alone makes it an anomaly.
Mount Sodom itself is slowly rising each year as underground pressure pushes the salt upward, reshaping its surface over time. But the pillar linked to Lot's wife stands detached, as if preserved intentionally. Some experts say its shape is a coincidence, carved slowly by erosion. Others argue its human silhouette is too defined, too perfectly placed, and too storied to ignore. And yet, none of them can explain one unsettling detail: why travelers and historians across centuries described it the same way before ever comparing notes. If it's only rock and salt, why has it refused to disappear? The Bible never describes Lot's wife as evil. It doesn't say she mocked God or rejected the warning. All it tells us is this: she looked back, not with her feet, but with her heart. She turned toward the life she was leaving,
The home, the comfort, the memories, and in one instant, judgment met hesitation. Jesus didn't ignore her story. Centuries later, he spoke 3 chilling words in Luke 17:32. Remember Lot's wife. Not as a myth, not as poetry, as a warning. Her fate wasn't just about turning around. It was about refusing to let go when God says move. And now, that message stands in physical form on the edge of a valley that once burned. A silent figure turned in the direction of destruction, as if frozen in the very moment her heart broke backward. But the final question isn't about her. It's about us.
Today, the formation still stands, facing the ruins, untouched by time, in a way nature can't fully explain. Geologists call it erosion. Historians call it tradition. But the land around it tells a different story. Charred ruins, ash-filled soil, melted pottery, shocked minerals, sulfur balls embedded in rock. A region scarred by something that came from the sky, just as the ancient texts described. And now, with new tools and fresh samples taken from the pillar itself, the research team believes they may have found mineral patterns that don't match normal salt formations. If that's confirmed, then the world may have to confront a question no skeptic wants to answer. What if this isn't just a geological oddity? What if it's exactly what generations believed it was? Because if even one story like this is true, how many others were never fiction to begin with? And something else is emerging nearby, something even harder to dismiss.